I'm Robert Moynihan, and with Father Murr on March 12th, Wednesday, 2025. Father Murr, so much is happening. We don't have time to discuss it all, but it's great to
Well, let's
see
put
you
a
again.
dent in it. Let's put a little dent in it. A lot is happening. You're absolutely correct. Absolutely correct.
Okay, and we've got a few dozen people that are listening live, and then we have people later. And we're trying to carve out something here in the middle of Lent that's of spiritual value.
Are you reading names or what? Or are we right into a theme? You tell
Yeah,
me. I'm
um,
I'm I'm following your lead.
okay. We have just watched a dramatic, almost 4 weeks of Pope Francis in the hospital, and it's really not certain that it's finished, but it does seem that he's past the point where he was daily and hourly in danger of losing his breathing and perhaps passing away. So that's the first point I wanted to make. The Pope seems to be stable now, and they've lifted the critical condition from his daily medical report. What do you feel about that, Father Murr? Hello? Oh, your computer is frozen. Well, everybody, we're unexpectedly facing another little glitch, and I think either Father Murr will reappear or, yeah, we've lost Father Murr now for a moment. I'm sorry about that. He's in a ranch in southern Spain, not too far from Seville. And we've gone there now 2 times to meet with him with a group of about 20 or 25 pilgrims. And we'd like to do it again this coming fall, October 23rd to 30th, 2025. And we'd like anybody to join with us, spend several days meeting with him in a retreat. And it's a great experience. And then we go around that area and see the great city of Seville, where there's the tomb of Christopher Columbus in the cathedral. And here he comes. Father Murr is coming back. Here he is. Yes, Father Murr.
You know,
I've just
I have to apologize, but it's actually my computer that should be apologizing.
yeah.
Every once like every hour or so, it just goes off. It gets sort of like a hiccups, and I have to turn it off and start up again. I'm sorry for that.
Yeah.
Where were you? What are you talking about?
I just said that we look forward to coming to see you, even though the internet is bad and glitchy, and that we're coming in October, and we wanted people to join with us. And then you suddenly returned.
There you go. I turned right in time for the invitation. Yes, those who can join us are certainly welcome to it. It'll be wonderful. October is also a beautiful time to be in Spain. It's very beautiful.
Yeah, that's why we chose that month. We have John Paul Sandoval, Father, who's watching us. We've got nearly 100 people watching us right now, live.
Now you're getting me nervous.
John Paul says, a gloomy day here in San Diego. I think you know San Diego.
And, I do know San Diego. I also know Sandoval. Is he any relation to the Cardinal, the former Cardinal of Guadalajara, Juan Sandoval? Great man. Great man.
He'll have to tell us. He says, it is my birthday today, March 12th. We'll go out with family and enjoy some time with them. Well, that's a lovely thought. There's a notice about our retreat and pilgrimage with Father Murr, October 23rd.
Oh, it's from October 23 to 30th. Okay. I've got it somewhere on my calendar, and I was going to look at it. We get closer to October, but that's it. October 23 to October 30. It's good.
Okay, and Michael Laurenti joins us again. We've had him before. Nice to see you again, Michael. As I recall, I think, wasn't he in Catania in Sicily? Amazing trip. You can go to Jerez, Cadiz for Latin Mass in Andalusia. Well,
did you know that's first of all, Robert, that's pronounced Jerez. Jerez is Jerez. And do you know what that affects in English?
No.
There's a very special port wine there, Jerez, very famous. And the English came over and called it sherry because they couldn't pronounce Jerez. That's where sherry comes from.
Okay. Well,
that town.
You know what I really enjoy with our discussions, which have gone on now almost weekly and for about 2 years now. So I think we're up to 100 or more. And I looked on the internet the other day, and we've had a regular appearance. So out of our friendship and our discussion starting 5 or 6 years ago over questions related to Pope John Paul I, his death after 33 days, the machinations around his election and his departure from the.
We actually started before then, Robert, with my book, The Godmother.
Oh,
you did a beautiful article, an interview in Inside the Vatican magazine, which I would urge people to subscribe to. It's a great magazine, good articles, fantastic photography, and it's everything is online. I very much enjoy having a physical book in my hands to read, a physical magazine to read. You can get magazines online, but it's not the same, not to me. Maybe I'm just an old fuddy-duddy, but I like this. I like the touch and the feel and the weight of something that I'm reading.
I didn't ask
Inside
you.
the Vatican is a fantastic magazine. I'm not just saying that to compliment you emptily in an empty fashion. I mean that in a real fashion. It's a great magazine, and it would be even greater if we had more people subscribing to it.
Well, that's very kind of you, Father. Actually, I want to, for transparency, I did not ask Father to say that, but I very much appreciate it.
Well, tell the truth. Every time I say that, I get $5. You know that.
Well,
no,
just
kidding.
No, but a magazine editor in the old days, everybody who put out a magazine would be getting a lot of advertising. They would have some very wealthy person behind the magazine. In the church, they often would have a religious order like the Jesuits backing the magazine. And if by chance go into deficit, that would be covered. But this was a project that I started in 1993. And really for 32 years, if there was a deficit, I would cover it. So I'm the patron of this magazine. But since I'm not a member of the Medici family or the Rockefeller family, we've done very well and we've been greatly blessed. But we really depend on subscribers and people taking $40 and taking a year's subscription. And that's the cost these days of a couple of pizzas. And
that's right.
And we would love to have subscribers, and they would be very helpful to us. And therefore, they would even support things like this podcast. Laurie H. writes, I've already renewed my subscription. Very good magazine. I agree with Father Murr. I prefer a physical text. Well, there you go.
You sound surprised that somebody agrees with me, Robert.
No. You've got a certain balance between piety and healthy skepticism, which I think marks really the traditional Catholic approach to reality. It's realistic.
It comes to mind right now. I think it's not a poem, sort of a meditation, I guess, that Father Feeney wrote years ago. And I was at the monastery, the Benedictine monastery, St. Benedict's Abbey, actually, in Still River. And I was reading where Father Feeney is buried. And I was reading some of his works. And he wrote a beautiful, I want to say poem, but I don't think it was exactly that, about the fraternity of priests. And there's one line that 2 lines that struck me. And he said, it's one priest talking to another priest who he's never met. They've never met before, but they both understand that they belong to a fraternity, to a very special fraternity. And that unites them strongly. And one of the lines says, there's nothing you can do that would scandalize me, and very little you could do to impress me. I thought and that's sort of the way I see life. I don't get scandalized by anyone's weaknesses, sins, transgressions, problems. I just don't. And at the same time, I'm not overly impressed with the dazzle them with your footwork, they used to say, right? It's just not that. A little bit of skepticism is a good thing, I think. But and always a sense of humor, Robert. You have to have a sense of humor. You just do. You just do to get through life.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, if you don't have a sense of humor, you truly are missing out on so many things. I laugh, I don't know, my gosh, 25 times a day. Just at things that I see that I think I'm not laughing at people or situations. I just think they're funny. Funny things come up, and we used to say they tickle, the English had that thing, they tickle my fancy. But I think you're missing. I think I look at how many people are going through life sourpussed, negative, everything's wrong, nothing is right, as if they're carrying the weight of the world on their shoulder. Why? There's joy in the world, and there's humor. And I think if you've got your eyes open, you can see it and enjoy it.
Well, in a way, this is not just a chit chat. This is precisely the crisis. We've lost, in a way, our direction because we've overemphasized or underemphasized critically important things that are the Catholic faith, the Catholic spirit, which, if it's understood correctly and embraced correctly, creates a kind of love and charity and friendship and forgiveness, which is unique in the world. It's a healing and rejoicing presence. But if it's reduced to podcasters carping at and all sorts of paranoia and conspiracy theories, we lose the Catholic spirit, the Catholic faith. And this is somehow
I think it's a very good point. It's a very good point. We've also lost it due to another thing, and that is we have been in a division. We have been tolerating a division, a great division in our church. We're no longer one family. It's sort of like going through divorce, I think. You've got people on one side and people on the other side. You know that you're related, but at the same time, you haven't talked in years. That sort of strenuous relationship. That division ruins humor. It ruins goodwill. It ruins a positive approach to announcing the gospel. It ruins everything. And we're no longer able to just laugh and enjoy things. We have to be on our guard. It's sort of like the politics right now, presently, and it has been for a long time in the United States of America. Europeans are a little bit different that way. They just are. You can get Europeans of different mentalities, and they can get together and enjoy life and laugh. Just enjoy life. And what has happened in the United States, both politically and religiously, is this great divide. We don't talk to you, you don't talk to us. It's really very strange. It's really very strange. And what's affecting the United States politically right now has also been affecting the Catholic Church specifically. for decades, but it's become more intense recently.
Well, Laurie H. writes, I would not have survived this long without an intense sense of humor. Nursing, RN, for 40 years is no joke. I think
Great.
that's a
well said. Well put.
But I think there's a contradiction here, though, between not surviving without an intense sense of humor, but for 40 years, it's no joke.
That is the joke. That's the joke right there. That's the twist. That's it.
Well, I do think we have to honor Laurie, because when you do have a good nurse and someone who cares for you and realizes how concerned you may be, worried you may be, it's a wonderful thing to be a good nurse.
And let me also talk to patients for a moment. Good nurses, most nurses and doctors that I know are like most priests that I know, and nuns and religious and teachers. It depends how you're approaching them. It really does. If you're a complainer, you're gonna always have bad nurses. that's the way it is.
Okay.
They're going to respond. They're responding to you, how you are approaching things. They're responding to how you are reaching out or not reaching out. That's the deal. And if you do so with a smile, and yes, I'll have patience. I know you have a lot to do with this. Yes, how things change. Things change. It's a change of our own attitude toward them.
I just wanted to. I wanted to show you this. We have a Pascaline, which is the same name as your dear friend, Mother Pasqualina.
Mother Pasqualina. Yeah.
And she says, good evening from Cape Town, South Africa. I always look forward to the discussions. So, Father, it's a kind of a miracle or a surprise that you and I talking would be able to reach instantaneously to places like San Diego, Cape Town, etc. And we appreciate Pascaline very much. But would
Robert,
you like to
I think it is. If it's not a miracle, let me just put it this way: I haven't gotten over it. I just say every time I think about being able to sit down at a microphone, at a computer that's transmitting all of this all over the world, it's phenomenal. This is phenomenal. And it's, I'm laughing at newscasters because they're saying what a hard time they're having because people are choosing now their own news. They're choosing to what they're listening to because they've got 5,000 choices, It's not like in the old days, CBS, NBC, ABC, that was it. You're done. NBC, you're done. Well, that's not the way it is now. And they're complaining because they don't have the influence that they used to have because people are making their own choices. This is a whole wild west, a new wild west that's open. It's got good and it's got bad. It's got good and bad, right? We're looking to take it for the good.
Yeah, here we are, Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday.
There you go. You be Wyatt and I'll be Doc.
Okay. We got Bill here, Zupancic. Not sure exactly how to pronounce his name. He's been here before. We appreciate you very much, Bill, and your comments. And he's given us a little
Domino. Yes.
A little quotation from Hilaire Belloc, who was at the same time as Chesterton and a great writer, a Catholic writer in England. And I think I should read this. Wherever the Catholic light doth shine, there is always laughter and good red wine. At least I've always found it so. Benedicamus Domino. Let us bless the Lord.
Leave it to Belloc. Yeah.
So I think that's what we're saying. This crisis we're facing, in a certain sense, and I have to even go to the point. A few weeks ago, people were saying they thought it possible that the Pope was dead and that the Vatican was covering it up and keeping him there in the deathbed while they planned the succession. It was a an idea that was spread on the internet, and people nodded sagely, yes, it's possible they could even go so far. And the fact is that it was a bridge too far. Uh, it's too crazy.
Mhm.
And I think it is true.
Well, Robert, but it's good that you know that. A lot of people don't know when it's too much. They don't.
I do.
And a lot of people, whatever they read on the internet, they take it as Bible. It has to be true because it's on the internet. It's what's ridiculous.
Okay. So I would say my first point really is, if we return to our right mind and we say, okay, there's evil and there's perhaps conspiracy that would destroy the church, or at least exploit the church, take its money, twist its teaching. But to say that it's entirely engulfed the world in pure darkness would neglect the truth of Jesus' promise that he would be with us till the end of the world, and that there would be glimmers of light, glimmers of hope, and more, even full scale sunshine of light and hope at different times, and that we should walk in a kind of faith rather than cower in a kind of fear. And sometimes I've felt in recent years that uh, we've given up the battle and given up the faith by embracing the fearful conviction that the powers of the world are dominant, they've overcome, they've reached into the heart of the church. What do you think about my remarks?
Well, yes, no, I understand what you're saying, and I believe you're absolutely right. Except one great except goes into that equation. Except, and you mentioned it, we have our Lord's word. We have his word that nothing will prevail. Evil will not prevail over the church. Right? We have his word for that. That's what has to keep every Christian going, especially when we see disastrous losses of people, loss of faith in the clergy, problems all over the place. We have to realize, we have to know that Christ gave his word that he would be with the church until the end of time. And he is, and he will be. That has to be a comfort for us. And it
All
is.
right.
It is a great comfort for a lot of people. For believers, it's what it's all about.
Okay. So I would say that's the cornerstone, or the first point. Now, the second point is we have people from all over the world here, and I wanted to bring them on just so we get a sense of the community of the faith of the universal church, even in our small program, very small. Marshall Kinsey, I think laughing at the absurdities in daily life and even the crisis in the church helps keep me going. All my almost 60 years in Corsica, it's rainy and breezy, a beautiful spring day. So we have someone from San Diego, someone from Cape Town, someone from Corsica. And
this is what I'm saying. Fantastic.
Yeah,
It's fantastic.
Yeah. And then I've got a couple more. This one, Robert Jacob. I'm not familiar with you, sir, but you have the same first name, Robert. And it's a beautiful name, Jacob. So he says, good morning from Australia. Good on you, mate.
Good on you, mate. Yeah.
Okay, so
we've
got a community, and that's what I'm trying to emphasize here. And then the next point would be this present pontiff, who's very contested, very criticized, and I myself have been critical of several confusing and dangerous formulations I feel that is crept into some of his teaching and even his private remarks, which he's been very free with to various. One of the most famous is Eugenio Scalfari, an Italian journalist who's now passed away. But when he was 90, 92, he was meeting with Pope Francis, and Pope Francis was saying things to him about life after death and forgiveness of sin and the existence of hell, etc. I think you could interpret it as being the Pope's way of trying to engage this atheist Italian who probably enjoyed speaking with the Pope and may have even reflected more deeply on his own beliefs. He's now passed away. I pray that his soul rests in peace. He founded
We hope it didn't disintegrate.
Yeah. So the Pope was passing into a coma almost. He was on breathing equipment. They were giving him daily doses of antibiotics. I received a note from someone close to him said, "We're quite worried because they're not having an effect." So several days passed when he hung in the balance. He had an infection in his lungs. They were giving him oxygen. And we all know that he's put on a lot of weight in recent years. I don't know how he can come out of 4 weeks or more in the hospital, which is where he is right now, and come back. They say they've set up a hospital sort of bed and even machinery so he could still be on oxygen in the Doma Santa Marta where he lives. So the Pope may come back. I don't know how strong a grip on the tiller of the church he will be able to have. And that has led in all sorts of ways all over the internet to speculation about who could succeed him. And I just wanted to go into that for a minute with you, Father, because both with your sense of humor, your knowledge of the Vatican politics, your friendship with Cardinal Gagnon, who was close friend with Paul VI, with John Paul II, how you assess this. And I wanted to say on the internet, there's all sorts of people putting out lists. These are the top 5. These are the top 10. These are the top 15. These are the top 20. Sometimes I wonder if they'll name the person among even the top 50, because there's an old phrase, whoever goes into the conclave papabile, or a leading candidate to become the Pope, emerges as a cardinal. And that's why I think it might be someone like you, Father Murr. They might reach out to some.
Yeah. Don't hold your breath on that one, Robert.
But
no, I'll tell you, let me just address one point that you made. I think it's very important. People have stopped trusting in the Vatican structure, just the structure of the Vatican. People who work in the Vatican, they have lost faith, and I'll tell you why. We've had this going on for a long time, probably forever, but we've noticed it now because we have more access to open cameras and news and things being said and done. For whatever their reason, officials in the Vatican, I won't say lie, but they stretch the truth, and they're not forthright. They're not. They just don't come out and say things clearly. They also have another problem. When they do make a statement, it's usually the next day another official will come over and contradict that or add something to it or subtract. They can't get their stories straight. This is what caused so much confusion with the death of John Paul I. Do you remember how many different stories came out? How he died, what position they found him in, what he was reading. It changed from day to day. Why? There's no need for that. I've been with people when they died and after they've died. I've said many of their few. I've never heard that from anybody. And I've been with people who are rather important and are newsworthy people. There isn't contradictions of all sorts. There is in the Vatican. And people have come to expect that, unfortunately. It's that same story that I keep repeating because to me, it's a classic. Mother Pasqualina, I went to visit her one time and she had, it's in the book, The Godmother. I just came in to visit her, and she had just said goodbye to an Austrian couple who left with her a pamphlet. You remember those, Robert? There was a pamphlet saying that that Pope Paul was kidnapped and replaced by a lookalike.
Yes.
Do you remember that? And
yes.
Now that is such lunacy that you don't even know how to approach it. But anyway, I walked into the parlor where we always met, and she was there with this pamphlet. The people had just left, and they gave it to her. And I looked at that, and I said, "Oh, Mother Pascaline, you don't believe that? You don't? I mean, come on, you can't believe this." She said, "Oh, absolutely not." She said, "It's foolishness." She said, "But these people believe it."
Yeah.
And I said, "Is there something wrong with them?" She said, "No." She said, "In fact, they believe this because they can't believe the reality." They can't believe what's actually happening to the church. They need to find an excuse, and they're willing to. Chesterton said it much more eloquently than I'm going to right now, but he said, "The man who stops believing in God, it's not that he's stopped believing in anything. He's now disposed to believe anything." It's not that he stopped believing in God and that's it. He has no belief any longer. Now he believes in anything: witchcraft, crystals, chanting on top of your head with all of this nonsense. But what her point was that the church is in such a state of chaos that people are disposed to believe even the crazy things. And I wish, it's not going to happen, but I really wish that the Vatican would get itself straightened out on this when they give out reports, that they be real reports, and that's it. There was somebody approached me the other day. A woman from Ireland came. I had two Irish women who came to visit me last week. Fantastic ladies, absolutely fantastic ladies. They is something you and I have talked about before. They are organizing and pushing for grandparents to get grandparents involved in the catechesis of their grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
Right, which a fantastic thing. The logistics of it have to be worked out, but it's fantastic. It's wonderful. She said, the Joyce said to me, she said, "Well, how do we do that? This is our problem. How do we get the children to want to study this? We want them to know it. How do we get them to study it?" I said, "If you got a will." I know many people who in their will put things like, "If any of my grandchildren smoke or drink before the age of 21, they're out of my will." And they knew that all of their lives, and they behaved themselves properly. I said, there are many ways of getting it across, but they came and they were talking, and we were talking, and something came up. And this is what we were talking about before. The lack of good faith that people have now in their clergy and in the Vatican. They took the Pope's sister arriving, Elena, I think her name is, right?
Yes,
they took that as the following. You might say, "Oh, isn't that wonderful? The sister is coming to visit her brother because he's in such a bad state, blah, blah." Well, the sister has not come to visit her brother when he was in a good state for 12 years, not once. And immediately people were looking at her coming because the Vatican officials, Parolin and company, would rather her next of kin make a decision of life-sustaining, what do you call it, apparatus.
Yes.
What we used to call pulling the plug or not pulling the plug, that life decision. They would rather leave it to her to absolve themselves from that responsibility. Well, that's the way people are thinking. And they're thinking that way because many of the people in the Vatican give the impression that that wouldn't be past them, thinking of something like that, thinking of something that dastardly. This is the problem. It just is.
Okay. This is the problem, and I think our conversations are an attempt to start to resolve or combat this problem. But
One would hope
we're
so.
we're about halfway through our program. We wanted to show a little video about our pilgrimage when we come to see you in person, Father, in an
Ah, you poor
extraordinary
things.
several days at the end of October. And so I'd like to run that video and then come back to look at some of the candidates that people are thinking might be the
That sounds
successor
good.
of
That
Pope
sounds good.
Francis.
Let's
Here we
Come
go.
with us on a unique pilgrimage and retreat to renew your spirit. Experience the beauty and richness of southern Spain. Our retreat master, Father Charles T. Murr, a renowned Catholic priest, best-selling author, philosopher, theologian, trained psychologist, and pastor of souls. Father Murr will guide us through 3 mornings of spiritual reflections at a convent located in the historic heart of Carmona, Spain, promising a transformative journey. Experience an intimate evening with Father Murr at his home. Wine, dinner, music, and conversation, a highlight of this unique experience. Explore picturesque towns in Andalusia, each with its own history and charm. From the ancient streets of Carmona to the majestic beauty of Cordoba, the breathtaking views of Ronda, the remarkable village of Centenil, and the historic wonders of Seville. Our pilgrimage will be filled with awe-inspiring moments. Join us on this profound spiritual journey and rediscover the joy of faith, fellowship, and renewal. Book your place now and embark on a pilgrimage and retreat unlike any other.
All right. So, Father Murr, we're looking forward to seeing you in October.
I'm looking forward to having all of you here. You know, the groups that we've only had 2 groups, but they've been just super. You know, usually, and you know this because you've toured and you've led pilgrimages for a long time. A group of people come, and you always have 1 or 2 who are unhappy. The food is wrong, the wine is wrong, this is wrong, the rooms are wrong. We haven't had any of that. Everybody everyone, to the last man or woman, is very content with.
Yeah, we screen out all the grouchy people.
You screen out the grouchies. Well, you do a good job of it, because the people who have come here are just marvelous, and it's to me, it's really a pleasure and an honor to have everybody here the last night for a farewell party here at the Hacienda Monte Cristo. I'm very pleased to share this farm life with them, and have dinner together and break bread and talk. And we always have a little bit of music, a little guitar music, some flamenco.
Sounds wonderful.
And it's good.
So you named your farm Monte Cristo, so you're not the Count of Monte Cristo, but
no, I'm the priests here. There are some great Spanish priests. They're really good friends. We had that automatic fraternal sensation. We knew each other without knowing each other, because we're priests. We're the same person. Well, I've become very close to many of them, and there was one group, especially Sacristia de la Vendée. They had about 8 priests on a weekly program, and it was very well watched all over Spain. Well, they come here, and they come here with their parents or friends. It's great. It's great to have a place like this. Also, we have a number of priests. I'm not going to get into it more specifically than that, but priests who have certain problems in their priesthood, in their ministry, canceled priests, problems with bishops, which are more common today than anyone realizes. I don't know why they're coming to me for advice. That's got to be scary, Robert. Can you imagine? Well, I mean, they're how bad off do you have to be to come to me for advice? But anyway, they come here and they spend some days. We get a lot of opportunity to talk. The chapel we have a beautiful chapel here, It's very intimate with your relationship in that chapel to the Blessed Sacrament and the Blessed Sacrament to you. And they go away with a little bit more peace than what they arrived with. And I try to help them also find canon lawyers, find whatever they need to help them. So that's what I've decided to do in my final years. And the priests here, a diocesan priest in Spain, in Italy, are called Don Carlos, Don Pedro, Don whatever, like Don Camilo,
Yes.
like Don Bosco, right? They're diocesan priests. Religious priests, Jesuits, Dominicans, Franciscans, are called Padre. There's a difference. So I get to be the Don of Monte Cristo. All of that to tell you that.
The Don of Monte
Rather than the Count of Monte Cristo, the Don of Monte Cristo.
So something is emerging in southern Spain through the mysterious workings of the Lord to bring hope and renewal to the Catholic faith worldwide.
Well, what I can do is groups of lay people who come here. We've had so many people from this program come by. They're in Seville for a couple of days. Can we come to visit? Absolutely. I have lunch together, and it's been a lot of fun. I'll tell you, Fulton Sheen put it well. He said, I never really retired. He said, what I did was retread, not retire.
All right. So
I've never been busier in my life than I have these last years. Fantastic. People they call again, the internet, the computer. It's fantastic. The means of communication that God has put at our disposal. And it's fun. It's also
we just have another comment. I don't know. Maria Ruelas. Good morning, Father Charlie. I enjoyed watching this program. I met you in Tepa at the Colegio de Niños.
Oh my God.
I was a student there. You used to take your boys to school.
That's right. That's right. Oh, God love you, Maria. Welcome to the program, and it's so good to hear from you. We're just getting done with. I'm just finishing my book. It's a 400-page novel, true novel, and most of it is my life in Tepa, in Tepatitlan. That place, Robert, of all the places that I've lived, and I've lived in Austria, in Italy, in the United States, in different places. I've lived in many places. I've never met people kinder and more beautiful than the Mexicans from central Mexico. That it's a very special place. So these were the people whose forefathers and foremothers gave their lives for Christ in the Cristiada. This is exactly the place. Tepatitlan was the place where it began, the city that I was in, where the first shots were fired, where the government soldiers came in and killed almost 8,000 men. It was a horrible, brutal time. But they've remained so beautiful and strong in their faith. And what do they have especially? A fantastic sense of humor. Fantastic sense of humor. And smiles. People they're happy. Even when you go to funerals and to wakes, the sense of the Catholic faith, that these people aren't dead, not really dead, that's it, finished, that they're alive. Everyone knows that and they feel that. And it's a whole different esprit, a whole different spirit that's available there. And anyway, Tepatitlan, you heard the song, I left my heart in San Francisco. Well, I left mine in Tepatitlan and half of my soul. Anyway, my book is coming out about those years. It should be out this week.
Oh, really?
And It Was Night. And It Was Night is the title of it.
And It Was Night.
Yeah.
All right. So next week we will try, or when we have a copy, if I'll get one here, I'll show the cover and we'll give a link to where you can get it.
Good. Good.
Where would
Good.
you and
Well, you can get it. You can get it on Amazon when it comes out, or you can go to my website, which is www.charlesmurr.com, or just charlesmurr.com, and that'll take you to the website. And there's a lot of interesting stuff on that website.
all right,
It's kind of neat.
charlesmurr.com.
That's another miracle. Websites. My gosh, it's just
All right.
just fantastic what God has permitted.
Okay, well, let's try to take a look at the people who may be candidates to become next pope. There's a website that two friends of mine, Ed Penton and Diane Montagna, have created.
Yes, I
don't
know
know if-
both of them. I know.
Okay.
I haven't met them. I haven't met them personally, but I know them. I follow them.
Yeah. Well, they're very excellent Catholic journalists working in Rome. They know Italian, and they've created this website. What's the exact?
The College of Cardinals report.
The College of Cardinals report. And this is a picture from the Vatican, inside the Vatican, near the Sistine Chapel. And
Yep.
they've made a little profile of every single cardinal in the church. And they say
that
they
would
want
be
to.
good. That's
And this is what the website looks like. Stop here for a moment. They're leading. They're the papabile at the top. That word means capable of becoming pope. It's a singular and a plural. Papabile is one person who's papabile, and several people who are capable of becoming popes are called papabili. That's the reason
right.
you hear it pronounced two different ways. And these 12 men at the top of their website are many of them people whom I know quite well. I wrote a book with Cardinal Peter Erdo. He's the Metropolitan Archbishop of Esztergom, Budapest, Hungary, and I regard him as a very thoughtful, learned, and also a man with a sense of humor. So,
yes. Did you say smarts? He's got a lot of smarts. Great intelligence.
Yeah.
Great intelligence.
He also knows
he is the man. If I may, this would be my candidate right there.
Okay, then Cardinal Matteo Zuppi is the Archbishop of Bologna, Italy. They say the Pope likes him very much. The Pope selected him as his assistant to go to Moscow, Kiev, Washington. He met with Putin, Zelensky, Biden. He was trying to help in some way to bring about peace in Ukraine. He's considered a kind of child of the Sant'Egidio community. He had a church as a parish priest in Rome at Santa Maria in Trastevere.
Santa Maria in Trastevere. He was the pastor there
in the 90s. Right? Yeah.
Oh.
So they say he's a sort of left of center candidate. Peter Erdo might be right of center, but it really actually isn't correct to use these sort of political terms with regard to candidates. You really have to say what kind of childhood did they have, what kind of faith was in, whether it would be Mexico or India or Hungary. Peter Erdo grew up under communism. The Soviets had controlled Hungary. Zuppi grew up in Italy, but in Italy, of course, Catholic Italy, but also in Italy with a lot of people who had abandoned the faith as well. Cardinal Robert Sarah is the third man they put on here. And Cardinal Sarah
is brilliant. He's a saint, and I would love to see him elected pope. I doubt that that's going to happen, but I would love it if he were pope. But Erdo, I think is the man. I'm praying for both of them.
Well, Erdo also speaks Russian, which is something very few of these men do.
Yes.
But Sarah actually was in this room where I'm sitting a year ago because he visited America, and I'm in Front Royal, Virginia. I think we have someone watching from Front Royal, and I saw that you said you were from Front Royal, so come by and say hello if you'd like. But Cardinal Robert Sarah came here. It was his 79th birthday, and we made a little cake for him and celebrated his birthday. And I would say I love Cardinal Seurat.
I think that's easy. I think that's easy to say and easy to do. To love him.
Yeah.
He's a great man.
He's not a conniver. He's not a conspiracy man. He's a man of faith. Now, I would say, therefore, also, as I look through this, there's quite a bit of faith represented here. It's not just conniving, conspiracy, power brokers, but the fourth man is Cardinal Luis Tagle. He's from the Philippines, and he was in the great, large city of Manila. Then he came over to Rome, has been in Rome for a number of years, so he's got both of those experiences. He would sort of be, many would consider him the Asian candidate, because the world, in a sense, looks towards Asia now with the great rise of China and the rise of Japan and the rise of all of the little tigers in Southeast Asia. And the Philippines sits there off the coast of China, and he would be a figure that people imagine would be effective in evangelizing all of Asia. So, but people
he is also, I don't know if you mentioned this, but he's also half Chinese and speaks Chinese, and that could be something very much in his favor with the secret Chinese agreement that Papa Bergoglio gave us, that a lot of people are very worried about and skeptical about.
Yeah, because the Chinese government isn't even adhering to it. And
that's right.
Anyway, we have to be a little rapid here, but on the internet today, there's these voices that are generated by computer that go through these men, and they say this and that about them. And I'd like to do another program where we go a little more in depth. But
Robert, could I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Could you talk to the people who put this together and ask permission to print it inside the Vatican?
Sure.
I think that would be a sensational idea.
All right. So we will. Okay. So we've gone through 4, and they've got 8 more that they call the 12 most spoken about. So the 5th one here is Cardinal Malcolm Ranjith, and I know him. He's in Sri Lanka, in Colombo, and actually he's a wonderful man as well, Father Murr. He's kind of a tiger. He's not a big man, but he's got a great heart. He was the secretary of the liturgy congregation for a number of years in Rome, and he used to speak about the necessity for Pope Benedict to publish his Summorum Pontificum document, and that he would go and see him every 2 or 3 months and say, "Holy Father, please publish it." And he would say, "Yes, I will in due time." So Ranjith also is a man of the people. He's well loved in Colombo and in Sri Lanka. There was a tremendous terrorist incident there, and he's asked for the government to give full exposure to the investigation of that incident. So, and I was actually with him when he was made a cardinal. I think he came out after having the cardinal's ring put on his finger, and they'd given him a ring that was a little large for his hand. And all of the Sri Lankans gathered around right in front of St. Peter's Basilica, started to kiss his hand and shake his hand, and the ring was pulled and fell off, and it went bouncing down the steps. This is a true story of the Sagrato. And Deborah, who was running all of our pilgrimages, heard the ring dropping down and saw that it had fallen about 20 feet away, and went and picked it up with all these people standing around under their feet. And she brought it back, and he put it, "Thank you very much," and she put it back on his finger. So
Robert, it is 6 o'clock, and I have to go.
Okay.
We've because of the time change, the time change and everything else is kind of thrown us off schedule. But I've got another program waiting for my wonderful presence. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, I can imagine.
To see my marvelous continents.
All right, Father Murr.
Anyway, we'll see you next week. But really, see what you can do to get that printed in inside the Vatican. That would be fantastic. Would be a major help to a lot of people, me particularly.
All right, we'll get that to you.
God bless, Robert.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come with us on a unique pilgrimage and retreat to renew your spirit. Experience the beauty and richness of southern Spain. Our retreat master, Father Charles T. Murr, a renowned Catholic priest, best-selling author, philosopher, theologian, trained psychologist, and pastor of souls. Father Murr will guide us through 3 mornings of spiritual reflections at a convent located in the historic heart of Carmona, Spain, promising a transformative journey. Experience an intimate evening with Father Murr at his home. Wine, dinner, music, and conversation, a highlight of this unique experience. Explore picturesque towns in Andalusia, each with its own history and charm. From the ancient streets of Carmona to the majestic beauty of Cordoba, the breathtaking views of Ronda, the remarkable village of Centenil, and the historic wonders of Seville. Our pilgrimage will be filled with awe-inspiring moments. Join us on this profound spiritual journey and rediscover the joy of faith, fellowship, and renewal. Book your place now and embark on a pilgrimage and retreat unlike any other.